Talangu vegetelela Ufana negutele madi Emhlane weli dada.
My name is Willem Seni, which means appeared by the grace of God. And I believe that my calling currently as part of the youth and as part of the African nation is to present the idea of the African woman being more than just undergoing hardship, more than just fighting to make it to the next day or fighting to feed the children. That's a struggle we already know about.
Your eyes hang low to the ground this time. Hey, you're struggling to look me in my. Ooh, it's messing with my head. Ooh, hands up, fingers spread. Don't tell me where to go, 'cause I've been just a little bit cold beside you. Honestly, I don't know. Don't tell me where to go, 'cause I've been just a little bit cold beside you. There's a heat I used to feel. Hey.
My name is Khole. I love to dance and I love to sing. I live right next door to your place, and if you wanna get to know me, give me a call and try to stick around. 'Cause if you're anything a type like me, you're an activist for love and peace. Get your shoes on, get your hat. The streets are calling, it's time to act. Won't you be my accomplice, babe? Who's Khole? Khole is a singer. She's a songwriter. She has been that since sometime in her teenage years, when she decided that's what she wants to do, to sing music and perform it. And most importantly, I've always wanted to do original music. I always thought I had things to say about my environment, things that I see.
Firstly, as a young female artist, you have to overcome your familial expectations. So you have to, in a traditional setup in the family, no one really understands why a girl wants to be seen by everyone. That's not how our culture, wants girls to be. Girls are supposed to be in the house, very precious and hidden until marriage. So I think that's a step to overcome. And then also just to be taken seriously in the industry, because it is a male-dominated one in our country. The lack of understanding of why this is what you want to do when there's so many beneficial options or so many serious options out there. Why aren't you studying medicine? Why aren't you studying law or whatever? Because it's not necessarily, arts aren't necessarily seen as something serious.
The arts are kind of one of the least developed things in Swaziland as an institution. I mean, we have an arts and culture, which means it is recognized, but it's the least developed and looked at less as a priority.
Our generation is the one that's making it, I think, in terms of the Swazi society anyway, our generation is the one that's really making it a more common thing and really putting some light on it. And
the arts are not, a priority at an economic level. It's I think it's the first challenge that artists in Swaziland have. So in that regard, when you're presented with such a problem, it doesn't mean that you stop and die. You continue to try and make a way.
so I think the arts are important in that way, in writing our legacy, making sure that our children and our children's children know what this generation did and the generations before us, so that they know where they come from. Because the only way you can move forward.
So as a woman artist in Swaziland, as a woman musician in Swaziland, it has been, my challenge has been trying, first of all, to convince people that I take this seriously. It's a job that I do professionally. It's I went to school for it. I spend a lot of time writing and trying to perfect what I do, because I know that what I do impacts people. And because there is no, how do I say, a higher voice that backs me up on that, so to speak, it always feels like as a woman, not even as a woman, as an artist generally, I'm alone in this. If I feel like, it makes, because people think that can I stop for a second? Because, okay, I'm just gonna gather my thoughts and then I'm gonna resume. Because it's a very, this topic it's something that's just been there forever, and one time you define it one way and then suddenly you realize it's a lot of things. I'm going to break it down to simplicity, because the thing is, I think I want to tell the whole story, and yet I just do the highlights. The first problem is the platform. There is not enough platforms, because it seems like the entertainment culture is not very mature.
Well, I mean, in some ways, you kind of have to stifle your artisticness a little bit, just so that it's not too much of a shock on those who don't understand it. I think there's so much more to me as an artist, but there's also a part of me that's very Swazi and very humble and quiet. Don't be too loud. So in order to kind of move us into that world of speaking out and pushing barriers and getting in people's faces for things that we want to change, you kind of have to do it knowing who you are. And I know that I'm a Swazi woman, so I mean, my place in society isn't to be too loud. So you have to move with ease. You have to ease people into it. So I think what I've done is I have fine-tuned my art in terms of performance, my skills, my guitar skills, my piano skills. I've tried to improve on that so that I can be taken seriously as somebody who, I have to take my craft seriously in order to be taken seriously. So that's how I've started that motion. Yeah.
When we were just in a dream, do you remember? Electric tether. Do you remember? When we were just in a dream, do you remember? Electric tether. Do you remember? When we were just energy, do you remember? Do you remember? Do you remember?
When you're a woman in this industry, you meet a lot of men, They are club owners, they are organizers, they work for companies, and sometimes you're smiling because you're not wanting to be rude. You're smiling and you think the person here's what you want. I want this job, and they're like, yeah, I like your stuff. I think you're an interesting person, and da 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 da. But they won't, and then you leave, and then you don't get a call back. And when you call, it doesn't go anywhere, And then you talk to someone, and you say, I don't understand. I had my papers right. I had my profile. I had my portfolio. I gave them my music. They seemed happy, but I'm not getting the job. And someone will say to me, but Kole, I think the guy likes you. And I'm like, but what's that gonna do with what I have to do? Okay, that's nice. You like me, but can I just do my job? Can I get the job? It's like, no, I think they want you to go to lunch with them or something, and da 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 da. And that exhausts me. I'm so vocal when I talk to other young artists that you must educate yourself. Educate yourself and always, have resources where you have money and stuff like that. And understand that sometimes your art is not going to be the one that's going to be pulling in the money. So find all other things that you're good at so that these men don't have something over your head.
As we artists, we are sort of like powerful tools that can be used to school masses, that can be used to build societies. So I believe as a poet, I am also in this world to build our country, or to build a number of people who are in our country. There are lots of guys in the industry and they support each other. Because there are many, it is easy for an aspiring poet that wants to be a poet. It's easy for a male poet to go to another male poet and maybe ask for some tips or some encouragement or some inspiration. But for female poets, we are few in numbers. And even the fact that the family unit kind of like discourage you to even enter an industry that they don't understand, it becomes very hard for females to even go in this industry, because number one, it is also seen as a bad industry because parents might think you will get into drugs, or they also see it as a nightlife kind of industry. So those are the challenges that we face as women, and women are just vulnerable in general. You become pretty much probably scared that you might be exploited somehow. You might just be exploited or subjected to sexual harassment, just like any other workplace, where it's male dominated and few women. You might be just discouraged and consider certain issues, weigh them before you even enter in that industry.
liningi lilambile langaphandle lilambele bangani sibili akusasibangani bacili bocanja nemazini ba takusenga njengemazeze utawude ube lizanda ingani phela emacili afuna bungani ngoba bona nako lonako bangcono ke naba labangenako ngoba bona shokusabahlushwa kunamacili lavela ku bathe ngelilwimi lolugu sathi nje usajika likona yebekunene hayi mani kunendlala la ngaphandle liningi lilambile la ngaphandle lilambele luthambo sibili ungathi lemuka nembuluzi selwaphelela lapha ecadzini ngumlilo nje wemaphepha kuphepha akusekho lapha kulomhlaba sesancumana bochochocho lo intolo besithi siyancumana sithi siyathandzana yene bakithi lapha sesiyayengana yebekunene hayi mani kunendlala la ngaphandle.
I was saying in the last interview, I said that I think artists should focus a lot on educating themselves, academically and on their craft. You must know what you're doing. Get some business acumen. And also be very excellent on your instrument. There's no room for mediocre in the 21st century.
I think we definitely need support from our leaders in government to help us out, because what we need now is facilities that provide for us. In order for us to make a living out of this industry, out of this world of the arts, we need some set structures and set rules. For example, music grants for maybe like annual tours, or government competitions, or even schools. I feel like schools need to have music classes, and then some of us could teach.
For now.
Oh, pirates, yes, they robbed I, sold I to the merchant ship. Minutes after they had picked I from the bottomless pit. My hand was made as strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you help me sing the songs of freedom for all I ever had? Redemption song, redemption song.
Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear of atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop at the time. How long must they kill our prophets whilst we stand aside and look? Ooh, some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing
The songs of freedom,
'cause all I ever had.
redemption song, redemption song, for all I ever had. Redemption song,
These songs of freedom.
freedom.